Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with Normal. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, March 8th, 2024. You know what that means? It's time for me to answer all your burning questions live. So let's see what you got, friends. Hey, take a quick second, hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. And then drop a note in the comments, friends. Let me see where you're watching from. Hey, Charlie, happy Friday to you as well. Hey, Pauline in Texas. Good to see you. Hey, Verdi in New York. Hello to the doctor. Hey, Kellyanne in Pittsburgh. Randermill, love that. All right. Somebody, hey, Lance, good to see you, friend. Glad we're finally able to stream on Instagram. Hope that goes well for us today. Instagram is always difficult. Hey, Tina in Madison. Hello, Melissa. Happy Friday to you, friends. Hey, Brian in North Carolina. All right, so, hey, Fred, happy Friday. We have some news, of course, to share with you all. Let's start with Hawaii. Anyone here watching from Hawaii? That would be fun. This week, Hawaii lawmakers advanced bills, multiple marijuana bills, out of the Chamber of Origin, so where they started. So the House advanced House bills, and the Senate advanced Senate bills. So they would cross over to the opposite chamber, hopefully. This includes not only a bill to legalize and regulate adult use retail in Hawaii, but also a bill to expunge past marijuana convictions and a bill to reduce marijuana penalties. Marijuana is already decriminalized in Hawaii, but this would improve decriminalization. Share that with you all. Sorry, friends on Instagram, you don't get to see these links, but you can find them all on the NORML website. Or if you're not getting the NORML newsletter, you're missing out. It comes out every Thursday. It's going to have all of these stories, and then the weekend weed read comes out on Saturdays. It's going to have these stories as well. There's still time to make sure the weekend weed read hits your inbox tomorrow morning around 9 a.m. Eastern. Just head over to norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the weekend weed read box, and it'll be yours tomorrow. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. It's not. Don't poke the Instagram. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. Hello, person on Instagram watching from Wyoming. If you need information regarding that, you can send an email to us at legal@norml.org. We're happy to forward that on to someone in Wyoming who might be able to assist you with that. You're welcome. All right. Hey, here's a fun one. Well, I have a couple of fun ones for you. Who just loves the lazy stoner stereotype? I didn't think so. Neither do researchers, because they really like to bust this myth. And they've done it again. This isn't the first time we've seen a study. I hope you're listening, Senator Bill D. Steph in Virginia, because I know this is a topic near and dear to your heart. But another study has been done where researchers myth bust the lazy stoner stereotype. This one is about exercise. And no, marijuana consumers are no less likely to exercise than their non-consuming counterparts. Shocking, I know. Hey, Jason in Minneapolis, thanks for joining us. Hope that's working. All right. My office is in an area of Richmond, Virginia, that's really famous for breweries. And in fact, my office is in between two breweries. I can look out my window, and there's a brewery. If that weren't a wall, I could look out that window, but it's a wall. And there's another brewery. Literally, my office is in between two breweries. So I think this is kind of comical. But in Canada, marijuana is legal on a national level, and so they've been studying the implications. And the retail sales of beer declined following the legalization of the adult use marijuana market in Canada. Here's that story for you. Hey, Oklahoma on Instagram, I see you. Hey, Rob, yes, Virginia is in fact messing up, and we're going to talk about that. But I'm going to do the other news first, because I know you all are going to have a lot of feelings when we get into the Virginia part. Yes, Charlie, it's a real tough situation to be here. It's just obviously terrible part of town. We have taps in the office though, so I know it just gets worse, doesn't it? All right, friends. All right, we're just gonna go good to worse is what we're gonna do for the news today. There was a survey done of people who suffer from endometriosis, and in what will probably be no surprise to you all. No, thank you. Not right now, Politico. 63% of those surveyed acknowledged that they use medical cannabis to treat their symptoms of endometriosis. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the number of inquiries I'm getting right now. So check that out. Hey, Equinox in Virginia. We are going to talk about that. Indeed, my friend, indeed. All right, and we are just speeding through this news today. Hey, Larry. Is this just a handy bit of info for us? Larry says there are 12 decriminalized cities in Georgia. I don't know if that was responding to someone else, but I can see it now. Hey, Larry, we have a website. That's news to no one. We have a list of local decriminalization ordinances, state by state. So check out Georgia's, and hey, hit me up if you think we've missed one. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you, friend. Hey, Steve. Welcome to the show. All right. One more, friends, and then we're gonna get into it. Listen, if you have burning questions, just drop those in the comments for me. See what you got. We're coming to North Dakota. Hey, Andrew. Good to see you. We've actually been to North Dakota. And hey, Andrew, are you in North Dakota? Would you like to start a NORML chapter there? You can do that. Just head to norml.org/chapters. There's a link at the top that will direct you to the how to start a chapter page. Hey, Banks, I happen to know you're in Virginia. Banks says, can restaurants offer for you to bring your own cannabis as an ingredient to have infused into your ordered dish? So is this legal in Virginia? No, it's not. It's public consumption, and it's a reciprocal transaction. So like if you handed over weed to a restaurant and was like, and they gave you food back that had weed in it that you paid for, that's a reciprocal transaction. So is it legal? No. Do people do it? Sounds like. Hey, Tree, good to see you. Hey, Socks, that's what we're going to call you. Any updates on the petition to upgrade Arkansas? Not since last week. The last I am aware of Arkansas is that the Attorney General signed off on the title language. No, Anthony, NORML is not a business association. Is the short version of that. So there are business associations out there. There are a dime a dozen. We're the only organization that represents consumers, so we're going to continue focusing our efforts on consumers, keeping them out of jail, keeping them with their kids, keeping them employed, making sure they have access to products that are safe, convenient, and affordable, things like that. I understand your interest, but it's just not really what we do. Okay, that is something. Keep an eye on that. All right, one last story for you friends before we get into the ugliest story of them all. And yes, I am apparently very giddy for the terrible conversation we're about to have. Not this one, the one that comes next. See you. Okay, so this is a survey was done, and we've seen similar results, not just with physicians who do palliative or hospice care, but physicians and healthcare providers in general. Again, here's another survey that this time it was focused on hospice physicians, and they said they believed they were, quote, insufficiently informed to counsel their patients on medical cannabis options. So not surprising there. But well, I just got I just got 4 boxes of these books. So if you know any clinicians who happen to not feel like they are informed enough to discuss medical cannabis options with their patients, we can help. Not only is Clinical Applications for Cannabis and Cannabinoids, a review of the recent scientific literature, available in paperback from NORML. It's also available for e-reader in the Amazon Kindle store. And you can pretty much read the entire thing online on the NORML website. Just go to the Medical Marijuana Research Library and you'll see all of this there, and PDFs of every single section. So let's say you wanted to share with your, I'm going to pick one. Let's say you wanted to share information on migraine with your clinician. You could go to our website. You could print out the migraine section as a PDF or email it. So, hey, if you think clinicians are not well informed in cannabis, we can help. Almost like someone thought about that. Hey, JC, good to see you. Tree, that is really awesome of you to say. Thank you. This is a great segue. Of course, as Biden said last night in the State of the Union address, I know you can read. So clinicians, not only is it free on the internet, but I know you can read this. You're licensed to practice medicine. Speaking of which, thank you for that comment, Dongs. It's a nice segue sort of backward into Lance's comment, which is about President Biden and his State of the Union address last night and how he did, in fact, mention marijuana. He used the word expungements. And, you know, we're going to we're going to split hairs here, not publicly, but I mean, this is public, but we're not denouncing the fact that he used the word expungements. That's okay. What he meant was pardons. So there were federal pardons for simple possession, for federal simple marijuana possession charges. Yes, there are people who have simple possession charges at the federal level for marijuana, and that is what was pardoned. Those charges are what were pardoned, those convictions. Not technically an expungement, a pardon. But it's still rather historic that the president mentioned marijuana, State of the Union address, and in that context. In that context. Every doctor in Idaho, Lance, I believe it. Well, they can have it for free too. It's right there on the website. Oh, hey, Pastor Deb. Pastor Deb says, having left hospice for palliative care, I can confirm the overall ignorance and would love to find this book. Appreciate the recommendation. Pastor Deb, it's at store.normal.org. You can also find it, the electronic version, on the NORML website, in the Medical Marijuana Research Library. Yes, Lance. Lance, I agree. Expungement. Well, again, Lance, it depends on what expungement is. Expungement, we typically think of that as destruction of the records. That doesn't necessarily mean that on a state-by-state basis. Now, at the federal level, it's going to be a pardon. And it's kind of like, Lance, I think you'll appreciate this. It's like when they talk about marijuana being decriminalized or legalized at the federal level, and neither of those are true. It's not how it would happen. How it would happen is marijuana would be removed from the Federal Controlled Substances Act, and then states would set their own policies like they do now, but without any threat of federal interference. So you and I are both well aware that lawmakers at every level are not as well versed in the intricacies of these policies as we are. So while we're going to use the right language, sometimes they're not. We still understand what they're saying, and we're going to give them a high five for it, because good job, buddy, you tried. And we appreciate that. Hey, Wade, good to see you. Hey, Craig. Let's see Craig's comment. Craig says, appreciate your setup outside something in the water last year, and the other vendors, including the one that was doing medical cannabis certifications, was a big help. If they invite us back, Craig, yes, we will be there. If they invite us back to be at something in the water or something similar, then yes, we'll be there. And I expect that if we are, then we'll bring Medical Wellness Center of Virginia with us as well. You're welcome, Dee. Hi, Sherry. You didn't miss anything yet. I know what you're here for. We haven't done that part yet. Wade, I can't wait for your questions. Hit me. Dottie's got a question. Oh, Dottie, this is a delightful segue. Thank you so much. Dottie says, I keep hearing about companies selling recreational marijuana around Richmond, Virginia. They have websites. Are people getting in trouble for this? Well, adult use retail isn't legal. Are they selling something? Maybe, sure, they're selling something. What are you buying? I don't know. What are you getting? You don't know. And you go, oh, it comes with a certificate of authenticity. From who? From where? From a lab? What lab? Is that lab regulated? Is it accredited? Is this an actual licensed, regulated, accredited, third-party, independent laboratory qualified to test cannabis? We have no idea. So, buyer beware. Not legal. Are they getting in trouble? I don't know. Some people are. No, Wade, I'm not aware of. Wade asked if there's a particular week scheduled in October that the DEA will likely have its findings made public. I have not heard that there's a particular week in October, Wade. Sounds risky. Yeah, Lance, sounds gross. Hey, Wade, yes. Wade says, and what's this I hear about the first adult use dispensary being opened here in North Carolina? I did see that this week. There is a dispensary set to open on tribal land located in North Carolina. Thank you. I had to find it. North Carolina's first marijuana dispensary is set to open in Cherokee. Mark your calendar for, I kid you not, this article that has a stupid paywall says, mark your calendars for 4/20. So here it is, the Charlotte Observer. Wade, I will pop that in there for you real quick. The Charlotte Observer is reporting that the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians in Western North Carolina set an opening date for the only dispensary to legally purchase cannabis. And they've decided on April 20th, which comes as a surprise to no one. Everyone loves a good weed joke. Yes, tree in North Carolina. Well, technically in Cherokee. What's that? Will there be places to consume tree? I have no idea. Hey, so let's get into the part that I just can't wait to talk about. It's going to be so fun. Friends, let's back up for 1 second. First, I guess I can pretend like it's kind of, thank you, Spence. Here we go. I'm coming at you, Spence. I got it. Let me share this article with everyone first. So the Virginia legislature has sent multiple marijuana-related bills to the governor's desk, or is in the process of sending them to his desk. What's he gonna do? Well, there's the big one. There's the adult use legalization bill, the retail sale bill. But there's also an employment protections expansion bill for public employees, for medical cannabis patients who are public employees, who aren't currently extended those types of employment protections. There is two parental rights protections bills. One of those was already sent to the governor, and his action deadline on that one is actually tonight at 11:59 p.m. Now the bill, this is for House Bill 833, and it's identical to Senate Bill 115, but the House version is a 7-day bill. Let's see what he does with it. He could veto it, which presumably is another reason why 115 was not made into a 7-day bill and communicated at the same time. There's also a resentencing bill for marijuana felonies. So he has a lot of cannabis-related bills coming to him. And he has a super boring, though beneficial to consumers, super boring medical cannabis operations bill, which passed unanimously. So he's got a lot of marijuana bills coming at him. All he continues to say, he's not interested. He had a press conference. First, I'm going to share the press conference with you. This is a press conference about the budget, really. And boy, did he have a big old glass of wine. The wine is pouring right out. I generally try to have a measured response, to be at the very least professional. But like, we're going to suspend that for a minute. And I'm just going to try not to swear. Are you kidding me, my dude? You stood there and said and whined and cried your tears about the Glen Dome. And then wrung your hands about how they didn't want to play with you with your dome. And instead they wanted to talk about cannabis. And you're big mad about that. You're so big mad about that you don't even understand what's in the bill. And you made a total ass out of yourself. You just showed it right there. Everyone, please go watch that YouTube link I dropped there for you. You can sit there in the comfort of wherever you are and watch this guy complain about how the legislature wants to put a cannabis store on every corner. It's like a meme. Tell me you haven't read the bill without telling me you haven't read the bill. Meanwhile, there is a Republican lobbyist who's offering quotes to the media that he has had so many conversations with the governor's policy shop. So are you telling me that the governor's policy shop understands what this bill does and hasn't bothered to brief the governor on it? Where's the disconnect here? Through NORML's action alert alone, just through ours, over 3,900 emails have been sent to lawmakers, including the governor, in support of legalizing retail access for adult use cannabis. 3,900. That's a lot of communication for a bill. 60% of Virginia, just about 60% of Virginia voters, 2 years in a row now, have been polled on retail sales. Like, yes, we want that. And you all have elected a guy who can't even be bothered to read the bill, or apparently to be properly briefed by his policy shop that's reportedly having conversations about this bill. I'm real confused. I'm real confused about who's not doing their job there. Is it the governor? Clearly not doing the job of policy making, that he was elected to do. He seemed defeated. Yeah, maybe, Spence. Seems like a whiny little baby. Yes, Amy, there is a resentencing bill for marijuana felonies. Is enough grown here to sell? What do you mean, JC? Yeah, insulin. I mean, that's a great point. Insulin says all that money in Northern Virginia, which is roughly 38% of the state population, going to Maryland and DC markets instead of Virginia. So, sativa, the bills are written on just like regular old paper. Yeah, insulin, indeed. That's not even the half of it. Like, yes, the state's missing out on tax revenue, but effectively what Youngkin is saying, sunburned, I'm not sunburned. Him? Like, maybe. Anyhow, okay, so effectively what this dude is saying is, you know what? I don't think marijuana belongs behind an age-verified counter. What I prefer is for organized crime, for cartels, for, let's be crass, drug dealers, for people who engage in human trafficking. That's who I want selling cannabis in my communities. Because listen, friends, Virginia's illicit market is valued at $2.4 billion every year. That's not your friend who grows weed at his house. That is not your friend. That is big organized crime. And Glenn Youngkin wants to make sure that big organized crime stays in your communities so he can make stupid hand-wringing jokes about pot shops on every corner. Okay, that needs to stop. People make it hard to be professional. Yeah, sure do. No, Dottie, he doesn't apparently, he's not interested in this policy. He says he's just not interested. That's it. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in paying taxes, but I have to do that. Just going to leave KA's comment up here. How are they going to Amy asks, how are they going to resentence and who? Amy, you have to go take a look at the bill. You know, you can find those on our website. Go to the resentencing section. Mams, thank you for getting me back on track here. Ma'am says, I know NORML has their finger on the pulse more than we citizens. Is there any indication Youngkin will sign any of the bills? Is the policy shop showing their hand at all? Well, to that point, our friends at the Mercury, our friends Graham Muma, with whom I spoke extensively, wrote this piece, which has some quotes in it that are interesting. There's a breakdown in the budget process, in the budget bill, which doesn't include Glenn's special dome, his arena, not in the budget. So the debate now is the bill in peril? Yeah. I mean, it was in peril from the get-go, and that's what I've been saying this whole time. This is not a priority for the governor. Clearly hasn't even bothered to read the bill or be briefed on it by his policy team. If he thinks this bill puts a cannabis store in every corner, he's definitely not looked at it or even been briefed. So it does nothing of the sort. But let's remember why we're here, and that, you know, not to just distribute the blame equally. We're here because Democrats made stupid choices in 2021 and then lost the House. Good job, everyone. Neat. So you could have legalized retail sales in 2021, but you didn't, because you thought there was something to gain from kicking that can down the road. And here we are. The only people who are losing are Virginians, in particular consumers. Y'all can go whine and cry about these imaginary businesses that don't exist. It's some business organization. But here we represent consumers. And in Virginia, on a conservative estimate, there's over 1 million consumers. That's a lot of people. That's before you even begin to factor in tourism. We don't care about 1 million plus people. Not us, but your legislature, your electeds. Democrats aren't taking this. I mean, there are definitely some Democrats who take this issue very seriously. I can say without a doubt, Adam Ebbin is one of them. Senator Ebbin, real solid on this issue, cares deeply about it. But it's not a serious issue for most of the people that you've elected. They thought it was a political football this year. We're seeing, lawmakers around this issue who don't even bother to talk to policy experts, who talk over them when they're offering much needed public testimony in support of their bills, who don't talk to people at all, who refuse appointments, who take every opportunity to make pot jokes instead of offering policy statements. Woof. Plenty of blame to go around. So remember, friends, elections have consequences. What do you need to do? Learn how signs work. You need to make good choices. Every state that has terrible cannabis policies, remember that next time you go to vote. Andrew, I agree. Andrew. Andrew says 3,900 emails seem like very little. Over 8 million people live there. Correct. I could not agree more. I would think it would be super neato, Andrew, if more people would, send this email. We make it super easy for you. We've got an action alert. I will drop it in the comments for you right here, right now, Andrew. So please, even if you've already sent the letter once, you can send it again. Just change the subject line, change a few words. I update the language in there every week or so anyhow, so it's always fresh. But share it with your networks. Share it directly with 5 people you know and trust and say, hey, after you've done this, can you please share it with 5 people and ask them to do the same? Do it yourself, share it with 5, and ask those 5 to do the same. Exactly. Tell your friends and family, says Melissa. Hello, someone says Sweden needs help as well. Please help. Well, if you want to start a chapter in Sweden, you can do that. Email us at chapters@norml.org. See if I can catch up on a few of these Instagram comments. I hate to just touch it because thank you, David, for explaining that it was in fact the governor who was sunburned. Oof. David, I'm reading your comments and yeah, choices. At least they didn't. Oh, yes, at least Chap Peterson was not reelected. Chap was always terrible on cannabis policy. So bye. Yep. They did have consensus this year, David, I'll say that much. Because they had to. I shouldn't be touching that because it breaks every time. Instagram gets mad every time I touch it. All right, I have shared with you all of the gross Virginia stuff. Hi, Llewellyn. Good to see you. Llewellyn, you can scroll up and see the links to the press conference yesterday and the story recapping it. Also, you can find the action alert, and please share that. Hey, Frank on Instagram. Hey, Amber, asking on Instagram if we're any closer to getting the MORE Act passed. So the MORE Act has passed in the House repeatedly. It's the Senate. It's the Senate. Hey, Ryan, happy Friday to you. You're welcome, Frank. Hey, Ed. Indeed. Thank goodness for a single term limit on governor. Can't wait for this term to be over. It's been embarrassing. Not just on cannabis, but that splitting we're here to talk about. Hello, Dankest Culture on Instagram. First of all, thanks for joining the stream. Second, I know that you can't see the links, and I'm terribly sorry about that. We are just now able to stream on Instagram using our platform, and it's not really integrated. It's like this separate window I have to have running over here, and it doesn't let us share links. Sometimes I tried to put them into the comment thread on Instagram, and then it breaks. So I'm not going to do that. But you can find the links to these stories that I've been talking about on the NORML website, either on the front page or in the news section. And if you just want them delivered to your inbox, head to norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the weekend weed read box, and that way you'll get the Saturday newsletter as well. We're just happy that we can stream on Instagram, and I don't want to break it. Last week it just shut down in the middle of the live, so they got like 10 minutes, and that was it. I'll try at the end before I close it out to post some of the links in there. I don't want to do it right now, though. I just want the stream to stay up. Thank you. David James Glass says that they posted the comment on their Instagram if you want to see it there. Dankest Culture. Right, Ryan? Indeed. I think I'm going to have a headache at the end of this show. Greg, thanks. You keep up that advocacy too. Hey, wherever you are, it's very likely there's a cannabis bill pending in your state. Oh, why does it look like that? I'm going to share a link. I'm going to try really hard. Sorry, Instagram, not for you. But I will tell you what the link is, Instagram, so you can just go there. Also, I should learn how to spell. So we have a Take Action Center on the NORML website. It's at norml.org/act. You can also just find it from the front page. Right tree, exactly. Even North Carolina has a bill. So head to our Take Action Center and then click on your state. And then you'll see the bills and the action alerts that we have. So you can contact your lawmakers, just a click. It's so easy. It takes like 30 seconds, maybe, if you're really slow at typing your name, to send emails to your lawmakers in support of good bills and in opposition to bad bills. So check that out, norml.org/act. There are 71 action alerts that we have up right now. Got Washington, California, Wyoming, Utah, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maine, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, they're very tiny and squishy right there. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, and Hawaii. Thank you so much, Radhika. Hey, Bravehearts on Instagram asking when is this country going to legalize nationwide? That's a fantastic question. So legalization at the national level, what that actually looks like is Congress passing legislation, sending it to the president for approval that removes marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act, not changes it to a different schedule, but removes it altogether so that states can continue setting their own cannabis policies without the threat of federal interference. That's what federal legalization looks like. When? Great question. Apparently, we're just going to kick the can down the road with this conversation around rescheduling, which does nothing. Doesn't do anything for any state that has a legal cannabis program for medical or adult use. They will still be in just as much conflict with federal law as they are today. If marijuana, whether it's Schedule 1 or Schedule 3, still in conflict with federal law. Consumers still breaking federal law, whether it's Schedule 1 or Schedule 3. Research, the Schedule 3 does not make it easier to research. There are restrictions on cannabis research at the federal level that are specific to marijuana, not specific to where it is on the schedule. Hey, Melissa. Melissa says for the Virginia's adult use retail sales bill, are we on the 7-day window? No, we don't. It's not a 7-day bill at this point. Hey, Joyce, good to see you. Joyce says, what's the reason Virginia Democrats don't want the arena? Seems like governor's hinting at a trade-off. Doesn't seem like he is. Seems like he's whining and complaining about a bill, but he clearly hasn't even read. I don't know. Maybe someone in his policy team should brief him that it does, in fact, not put a cannabis store on every corner. Instead, greatly restricts the number of stores that can be in the state. What's the beef, Joyce, you ask? The beef is the governor not approving, not being willing to commit to approving Democratic-led priorities. Not that they're just Democratic priorities, but they're led priorities. He's not willing to agree to a number of provisions that Democrats have been very clear are what they want. If he would do that, then he'd get his stupid arena. Ma'ams, no, it is not a 7-day bill. So people are asking if the adult use measures, the retail measures in Virginia are 7-day bills. I'm looking at them in LIS right now. They are not. Neither of them are 7-day bills. David, how did marijuana paraphernalia get lumped into the 11.65% tax rate at the last second? Did the CCA want that? I mean, admittedly, I have to open it and see that I'm not, if you want to say, yes, it's absolutely, tell me right now, David, did you read that in there? Did you read that line? Everyone wants to watch me control that stuff in the bill, I'm sure. Are you sure that it's also taxed? I mean, if it were sold at a dispensary, then presumably could be subject to that tax. Thank you. I see it now in the exceptions. A tax of 8% is levied on the sale of Commonwealth of any marijuana, marijuana products, or marijuana paraphernalia. Okay, thank you. So yes, I guess is the answer to your question. Yeah, marijuana taxes. I'm gonna have to read that a little bit more. But that's what it looks like. Okay. Yes, Melissa, Dr. Peace mentioned getting a grant from NIH at her research lab. You are welcome, Joyce. Hello to the Green Seed, who says, I wish they would quit polarizing the issue. I'm, quote, conservative and think we should be able to grow and enjoy a plant. The Green Seed, you are not alone. Please write the governor and tell him that, and your elected officials. Hey, Kevin, I'm so glad you're asking this question. It's one of my favorite things to talk about because, first of all, the answer is no. Then let's get to the question. Kevin says, way off topic here, but has anyone been able to actually verify fentanyl-laced cannabis in Virginia? No, there are zero, not just in Virginia. There's only been one instance in which a forensic toxicology laboratory has confirmed that there was fentanyl on marijuana. And they also said this appears to have happened during evidence collection. Not that someone did it on purpose, but that during evidence collection, the sample was tainted. There's no verified instance of fentanyl-laced marijuana in Virginia. It's just a fun talking point that people like to whine about. But, I think we can all agree that marijuana, first of all, should be sold only to adults 21 and older. Second, belongs behind an age-verified counter where it can be sold in childproof packaging in packages that aren't appealing to children and has been tested by a licensed, accredited, independent, third-party laboratory that is qualified to test cannabis. That doesn't happen without a regulatory structure. Hey, Michael, I'm sorry that upstate New York sucks. Hey, JME on Instagram asking, what is the latest timeline in regard to expected rescheduling announcement? There isn't a timeline, but the DEA hasn't given any information on that. I can say that once if DEA were to agree with HHS's recommendation, that would not immediately trigger rescheduling. It would move to public comment. Normonius on Instagram says, without quality testing, all you have are mids. Without quality testing, all you have is who knows what, because it hasn't been tested. Yeah, Michael on Instagram says legalized at the state level, but no one wants a store in their town. I mean, I don't think that there's a lot of NIMBYism, not in my backyard. Paul Armentano at NORML has written extensively about that. I don't think that holds true for the majority of Virginia. I don't think we have a lot of NIMBYism on that issue. There is in the adult use retail sales bill, though, an opt-out provision. So a locality could hold a referendum on the issue, and if voters say they don't want retail, then they don't have retail in their locality. They also get zero tax dollars. Hey, David, circling back to your question, David says it seems absurd to tax glass pipes when wine and shot glasses aren't taxed. Yeah, I mean, there's sales taxed. I think it is, first of all, we have plenty to worry about in this bill, and this is probably not the primary issue, but it is something that could later be addressed. And I will talk to the Division of Legislative Services about this issue in particular, because if this is intended to apply that tax to consumption devices sold at dispensaries, that's one thing. But if it's a store that is not licensed to sell marijuana paraphernalia, then how would they be able, then would they be taxed the same? Let me do a little more digging on that, David. Yeah, the definition is pretty broad. Also that it's paraphernalia is the stupidest word. Hey, Jimmy, I'm going to read your question. Jimmy on Instagram says, maybe this has been asked, how would the new bill affect the current 4-plant allowance for personal cultivation in Virginia? It wouldn't at all. It doesn't affect it at all. David, I really think the intention was for that sales tax to apply to products sold at dispensaries, but I'm gonna figure it out. And like, the bill has to pass. Even if the bill passed, it wouldn't take effect until 1/1/25. So there's a whole legislative session before then. Hormonia says, why doesn't the DEA just sell us their weed? I don't think you want their weed. Who knows what they have? Tainted evidence tree. What are you talking about? Hey, Kevin. No, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, wait, Kevin, I'm sorry. I pressed too many. Okay, I hope I didn't actually block you, Kevin, because this thing is clicking too fast. Kevin says, I believe the sheriff of Campbell County recently mentioned he was seen in his jurisdiction. I thought he was wrong. He is wrong. What happens is people OD, and there's a really limited affirmative defense for possession of illicit opioid type drugs. So if you like OD on opioids or heroin, you don't have the same legal protections if you call for medical assistance as if you were a cannabis consumer. So it's a lot easier. There's less legal risk to call for medical assistance and say, oh, I just smoked some weed. So I'm not trying to, look, there have been multiple efforts to expand the affirmative defense provisions for people who are overdosing, and that should happen. But it's not happening, and that's why we see this, where people OD, they call, they just say, oh, I smoked weed, because they don't think they're going to get in trouble for that. And then it leads to local yokels saying things like, we're seeing fentanyl-laced marijuana. First question you ask is, where is the forensic toxicology report on that? Obviously, you got the sample and sent it to Department of Forensic Sciences, at which point they will say no, and then you will say, how do you know it's tainted? And then they will say, well, the person said it, and then you would say, so the person who was overdosing told you that their marijuana was tainted with fentanyl? How did they know? Anyhow. It's go to more press conferences together. It would be fun. How is it after 5? It's because we got into the Virginia nonsense. Hey, Ryan. Ryan asks about Virginia. Is there any change to the amount you would be allowed to carry in public? Yes, the bill would change the amount permitted for possession in public from 1 ounce to 2.5 ounces. Why? I don't know. I don't know that that was even a necessary change, but there it is. Anyhow, I don't think we have to worry about that at this point in time. Governor Clown Shoes apparently has bigger fish to fry. Ristafarian says wild on Instagram says wild that we are dealing with an opioid epidemic and the debate is still over marijuana. Yes, I agree. Isn't it stupid? Hey, Jimmy. Jimmy said on Instagram you were asking, you read that it would be a felony to cultivate without the proper license. Yes. I guess that only applies to those selling to retailers. It applies to so it's already illegal to cultivate for PWID. Possession with intent to distribute in any amount is illegal in Virginia. It doesn't matter if it's a gram, a joint. Possession with intent to distribute in any amount is illegal in Virginia, full stop. There's only a rebuttable presumption that if you possess 1 ounce, that it is for personal use. It's presumed to be for personal use. It doesn't mean it's de facto for personal use. It's just presumed. If you have a 1/2 ounce and baggies and scales, you're going to get busted for PWID. But those penalties already exist, and it's called manufacturing. So if someone's growing a bunch of plants and they think it's for PWID, they're going to get popped for manufacturing. It's the same thing. It's this. The penalties already exist in code. So we've had people reach out. They're mad that like if they grow 6 plants, there's a penalty. Well, then don't. Problem solved. You want to personally cultivate more plants? I think a lot of people do, but you have to elect people that will let you change that law. David, 2026 sounds nice about right now, doesn't it? Kevin, I don't know how to Kevin, I don't know how to unblock you. I didn't mean to block you, Kevin. I'm sorry. I don't know how clicking works. Please don't be mad. I'll fix it next time. It won't let me fix it now. Anyhow, Kevin, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Ristafarian says, how is it even Schedule 1 if medical marijuana has existed since the mid-90s? It was placed in Schedule 1 well before that. It was placed on the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Melissa, please go find Kevin and tell him I'm sorry. It was placed in the Federal Controlled Substances Act in 1970. Now, originally it was done temporarily, and the thought was that, well, the Schaefer Commission is going to make its recommendation, and then at the federal level, they were going to follow the Schaefer Commission's recommendation. The Schaefer Commission's recommendation was to remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act. And that's not what the DEA decided to do. They made up new rules and were like, no, we can't do that because we made up new rules to reject that. And so it just doesn't comport with our rules. This is a really dumbed down version of it. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, whoops. Millions of lives ruined. All right, friends. It's after 5, so this has been fun, and I love complaining about dumb people. I mean, talking about cannabis policy, science, and news with you all. But we're going to have to say goodbye for this week, and we can do it all again next week. I'm sure of it. To that point, make sure you hit the like, follow, or subscribe button so you don't miss when NORML goes live. I want to tell you about a couple events real quick, though, before we say goodbye. Happening this weekend, right now, is the 2024 Kentucky Cannabis Conference. This is at the Capitol Plaza Hotel in Frankfurt. You can still get tickets to go to that, including the expo. The expo is on Sunday. I think that's free. Coming up in April, there are 3 events I'm going to tell you about. First is the National Cannabis Policy Summit. This is April 17th at the MLK Junior Public Library in Washington, D.C. Come see me there. You can learn more about this at the National Cannabis Festival website. I dropped that link in there for you. Hey, friends on Instagram, if you want to find out more information, go to nationalcannabisfestival.com and then find the policy summit under something. I had to look. Under experiences. Yes, under experiences. That is where you find it. nationalcannabisfestival.com. Under experiences, go down to Summit, April 17th. Come see NORML there. And then, if you love that, you're going to love the National Cannabis Festival. It is now a 2-day event. Congratulations to our friends. National Cannabis Festival. You can get tickets, including a limited amount of VIP tickets are still available. nationalcannabisfestival.com. It is April 19th and 20th at RFK Stadium Festival Grounds in Washington, D.C. One more April event I want you to have on your radar for those of you who are in the New York, New Jersey, Philly area. Hey, go check out our friends at Meeting Out the Stones. This is a hilarious show. They have been huge supporters of NORML for years now. Weeding Out the Stoned is the game show of sobriety tests. What happens is a group of players enter the game. All of them are stoned but one. It's up to the audience to find out who the sober player is, so that everyone can win sweet, sweet prizes. If you're in the Philly area, go celebrate 420 with our friends at Weeding Out the Stones at the Helium Comedy Club in Philadelphia. And then one more sweet, sweet event to tell you about, of course, is the NORML Aspen Legal Seminar. This is May 30th through June 1st at the Gant in Aspen, Colorado. If you are an attorney who needs continuing legal education credits, we have CLEs fully accredited in every state that requires them for attorneys. If you're an attorney who doesn't need CLEs or you're not an attorney, you are still more than welcome to come. Of course, we have a discounted rate for you if you don't need CLEs, but you still want to connect with leading cannabis policy experts and attorneys from across the country. Come and do that. And of course, normal people like me will be there. Oh, that's fun, Ristafarian. Congrats. Hey, Andrew. Thanks for writing the paper. Andrew says, thanks for covering our paper. This is the I can only see half of the link. The endometriosis study. Cool. Thanks, Andrew. Please share it. Please share it. Please share our link. Hey, I see you. Great. So I told you about all the events. Make sure you get the weekend weed read delivered to your inbox. There is some information on that. Make sure you take action in the NORML Action Center. NORML Take Action Center. And hey, make sure you join NORML. I will next week be sending out the next batch of 2024 NORML. I don't know how anything works. NORML membership cards. Get that thing. I want to send you one of these. Go to norml.org/join. $42. Hey, if you're in Virginia and you want to join Virginia NORML, that's cool because I just got these in too. So I'm going to try to send those out soon as well. I'll even put your name on this one with some handy label tape because we're just great like that. Oh, I didn't even look very good. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks, Equinox, for joining us. Appreciate the invitation. All right, everyone, this has been so much fun. Let's do it all again next week. Hey, everyone have a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining us, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.